What up, my man of society? It is your host with the most, Shadow Log, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like and are subscribed to the channel. It's absolutely free. Go ahead and tap on the subscribe. It don't cost a damn thing. You help my channel get into the algorithm. I would highly appreciate if you go ahead and do that. For the man of society. Now, what I wanted to talk about was actually a question that one of my subscribers had right on a video I had did a while back ago about immunity, right? And in that video, I guess I had said that the law is not built. Oh, but before I get into that, to the subscriber Bebop Hiller, when you were asking me about if I could make a video talking about how could you write a letter to YouTube, I don't really know what you mean. Like, what do you mean, like write a letter? Like physically write a letter? Like you write to somebody that's incarcerated? Because you can't write to YouTube. You know what I mean? So I emailed you back, but I don't know I don't know if you got it, but I know you sent me like a bunch of emails over and over and over again. So I see your email. You don't have to keep sending it. I see it. You know what I mean? It's just that I have to get time to reply back or make the video. You know what I mean? So you don't have to keep sending it. I'll see it. But in general, like I don't know what you mean, but like as in physically writing a letter, you can't write a letter to YouTube. But so I don't know if you could get back at me, maybe like clarifying what you meant, I'll do it then. But anywho, back to what I was talking about. So he had said in that video that I said that the justice system is not built to help criminals, right? If that's what I think that the world thinks, right? And he says, but it shows that it does tend to help out criminals more than the everyday person. And I said, well, how so? And he said, they keep letting them out of jail, and not only that, that when a civilian tends to defend themselves, right, or let's say somebody who's been targeted for cooperating with law enforcement, but they're attacked, they're not allowed to retaliate or defend themselves because then they'll get charged, right? And he said that, so how's the law helping people there and not gang members or whatever? And to that I'll say this: for the civilian part, I find that really hard to believe that they'll side with the gang members more than the civilians. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen. Now, that doesn't mean that the same goes for ex-gang members who cooperate, right? Or like you said, those who cooperate with law enforcement. For those, it works a little bit different, right? Because since they cooperated with law enforcement, their lives are at jeopardy now, right? So they're entitled to go into, witness protection program. Or, once they're released, the smartest and the right thing to do is, once you have left that life behind, right? Once you are no longer a part of that life, meaning you no longer go by your nickname, okay? You no longer visit the places in which you used to roam and stroll and all of that. You no longer dress the way you used to dress. You no longer associate with those who you used to associate with. Why? Because any of those things will put your life in jeopardy. Plain and simple. So they are not to say that they're innocent in here, right? Because if they were innocent, they still wouldn't be involved with these kind of individuals going by that nickname or doing the things that they do, right? In order to put themselves in that scenario, right? Because the only way that you're going to get caught in a scenario like that is if you put yourself in that scenario. Example, but if you cooperate with law enforcement or they know that you're no good, the only ones that are going to know out here in the streets is the ones that you used to interact with, right? Okay. And the ones you interact with only stay within a certain area, even if word travels, right? Most likely the word's not going to really travel all that far, right? It's not like somebody's no good and then these guys start spreading the message to all the gangs, letting them know that you're no good. It doesn't happen, right? Though you yourself in your own clean up your own backyards. So it's not like the vast audience or the vast people know about this, right? The only way I can see why somebody would know this information is if you, I don't know, hop on social media and put yourself out there, right? If you're on social media, then the masses are going to see, then you're going to have a target on your back, a bigger one. You get what I'm saying? So therefore, if you left that life behind and you know that people like you are targeted, why would you put yourself front and center and risk your jeopardy of your life, risk your life for, or why still, Like, because the only way that it's gonna catch people's attention is if you go on online and continue to involve or speak about the streets, right? Because if you were to make a channel about, NASCAR or cooking, nobody would still even know who you were or make the connections, right? Unless you start now speaking about the streets and stuff like that. Then they're gonna start, they'll be able to tap in with homies and start asking questions, then now highlighting yourself to be targeted. So therefore they're not innocent, right? And the law knows that. The law knows if you would have just, actually, left that life behind and go live your life and don't associate no more and don't do none of that, you would have been fine. But since you chose to still dwell in the underworld, then you put yourself in that scenario. That's why the law will not defend you there, right? If you choose to handle stuff with violence, especially if you come from already this world where you were a part of the violence. They're going to see that you just didn't really learn, that you were just trying to weasel your way out of the system. And that's why the system will punish those individuals. Because it seems that they just threw everyone under the bus. That way they could get away scotch-free. Because apparently they didn't learn nothing. That's the reason why they're in this predicament. You get what I'm saying? So therefore, the system does not, help gang members and not, these individuals, because if they would have really, stick to what they were supposed to stick to, none of this, or they wouldn't be put in a scenario where they could be targeted or, something that will drag you back into being incarcerated. You get what I mean? There's a lot of people who left the life behind, changed their ways, and didn't get incarcerated again or get put into some scenarios like that, because they chose to really just push it all away. But if you want to come on here and you want your 5 minutes of fame, or you still want to be seen as or recognized for your accomplishments before, then understand that it's going to come with a price. Are you willing to pay that price when it comes knocking on the door? And when it comes knocking on the door, if you accept, then when the repercussions come, then you cannot be upset because you knew what you were doing. So does the system. That's why the system is the way it is. It's not that they're like, oh, they cooperated and you guys are choosing not to defend them or even help them out. No, bro. Like, they chose to still, embark themselves in all of this and, and back to the scenario again where they're going to be incarcerated. They didn't learn. I'm saying overall, that's just my thoughts. Shadow, we out.